Hey guys, welcome back. I've had some guys asking me about the engraving stuff that I was doing on the plate that I made for the Pico for my roll cart, and I just wanted to do. I thought it would be cool to do a quick video on it. It's really actually very simple to do. It consists of a couple of things that you need. One would be an image, whatever you want to make, writing or whatever, picture. And it would have to be cut out on a vinyl machine. So I had bought one for hobby stuff maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I don't remember what I paid. It's about $250 roughly. It's the one that I purchased was called a Cricut Air 2 on the recommendation of a buddy of mine. And I don't know too much about using this software. I mean, I'm not really good with it, but the stuff that I need it for, I could get by. It's not anything too critical. Basically, what you do is you're going to get an image, and I mean, there's a little bit of a learning curve with that because depending on how much detail is in the image, it needs to be kind of toned down. I really don't know how else to explain that. There's tons of videos online on YouTube for that type of stuff. If you look up Cricut Air 2 and vinyl cutting and such, you'll find stuff on that. I'm not going to go into detail because I really don't know enough about it to try to explain it that well. In any case, simple images come out really well. I've done some pretty cool stuff just messing around trying to learn it. It's neat. So in any case, you're going to need a vinyl machine, or you're going to need a stencil. I do airbrushing as well. Nothing fantastic, but I like to play with that stuff. So when I first started experimenting with this engraving, I was doing it using stencils that I already have that are pre-cut, and they're made out of like a plastic that's it's reusable. Actually, let me see if I have one. I'll show it to you. All right, so here are basic type of stencils. These are 2 different sizes. These would be what you would use. These are made out of what's called mylar. They're reusable, they're flexible. Guys use these to simplify, repetitive type of airbrushing. You want to make a bunch of skulls on a gas tank. You kind of use these as a base, quick, and then you can fill it in by, freehand to make them unique. But these are pre-cut stencils, okay? So, what you do is you're going to lay the stencil down on your piece, your work piece, which is going to be metal, obviously, aluminum, steel, whatever. The second component that you're going to need is a battery charger or a jump pack, which works fine. And believe it or not, salt and water. Those are really the only components you need. Well, an old T-shirt helps, and I'll get to that. The way that I do this is not, hand engraving or anything like that. It's actually electrolysis. So some of you guys, I'm sure, are very familiar with this. Some of you other guys may not be. Some of you guys may have seen my video on rust removal. Electrolysis could be used for a lot of different things, and I play with a lot of that stuff. Obviously, the rust removal I've been doing for a long time. The other thing you could do with that, actually, believe it or not, is plating work. And I've made my own solution out of copper to copper plate things, just to, playing around, testing, and it works. You could do it with nickel, stainless, whatever you want. I'm not going to get into all that either right now, though. I'm just going to show you how I do the engraving portion. I just wanted to touch on some of the other possibilities, right? So we're going to move on here. I'm going to show you. Okay, so I got this thing set up so you guys can see. This is, I'm just using the milling machine as a base to hold this stuff, but this is a piece of aluminum, all right, aluminum plate. This is the finished product of a cutout that I made out of vinyl. So now on top, my cutout is underneath. Okay, it's the bottom piece. This clear plastic on top is a transfer film or transfer tape, whatever you want to call it. Now, what I'm going to show you is how you go about putting this to the piece that you want to make. Okay, you have to peel this back, And this is probably the most tedious part of it, well, one of the most tedious parts, because what you want is you want to make sure this is well stuck to the transfer tape. And if you can see, it's starting to peel. So what I do is I normally run this down, you know, on a piece of hard surface and just keep trying to work it so it sticks very well to the transfer film. I'm sure you guys see where I'm going here with this, right? I am going to carefully try to peel this. Once you get it started, it usually goes easier, okay? I'm moving the camera. All right, so you can see the part of it is stuck on there, which is good. I'm not worried about the dirty fingers that I just got touching this stuff. Just kind of work it with your fingernail. Get it down. You want this to all come off on the transfer tape, otherwise you're going to run into a problem, all right? It's going to give you the effect that you're looking for. So just keep working it. It takes a little time. I mean, depending on the design you cut out. This design has a lot of little cuts in it, so it makes it a little more difficult. But as you can see, it's coming along. Like that. It's kind of a fun thing to play with when I'm not thinking about fixing cars. And you want to try to keep it. I notice if you work it this way, you notice it'll sometimes work out better. Kind of keep it tight when you're pulling it off. Getting there, we're almost there. And there it is. Okay, so now this is the sticky portion of it. Now the tricky part for me here is going to be trying to get this on here in front of the camera. That's kind of difficult because I may actually shut it off, but we'll see how it turns out. I'm working like my arm around the camera here, and what I want to do is put this flat straight onto the plate. All right, so it makes it a little difficult. Actually, very difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. Let's see if I can do this. And trying to see the design through there to get it straight is the other hard part. Now, this is nothing critical. This is not any piece that I'm working on that has to be perfect or anything, but I still like to try to get it somewhat decently straight. Okay, I'm going to start on one end and just get it set down, and I hope that it's somewhat level here, straight on the piece, but I doubt it. It's very hard to work through from behind the camera, but we'll see how it turns out. So now I'm basically going to do the same thing that I was just doing. I'm going to try to transfer it. I'm going to just keep working this thing back and forth. And keep in mind too, this aluminum, I'm down in my basement. It's kind of cold, cooler. So that makes it adhere a little, not as well as if it was warm. Okay, so just something to keep in mind. These are just experiences I've had with messing around with this stuff for a few months. So I'm going to do this like that, okay? The next thing I'm going to do is pop the layer of transfer tape. I'm going to start peeling that. Again, guys, I'm fiddling around here because the camera's in my way, but this does go a lot easier when you're not playing behind a camera. Now, I'm trying to keep this tight, as you can see, so that the piece will, that was freaky. Okay, so the piece will keep the template down, okay? So I don't want to peel that off because I only want to take a part of that out. All right, so there you go. I know none of that was on camera, but you could barely make out the design, I guess, on camera. It's kind of hard to see. You'll see it a lot better. You do see it a lot better in person. So the transfer film is now trash. The other part is trash. Now moving on. Moving on is going to, actually this is probably going to be the hardest part, believe it or not, is taking this off on camera. So I'm going to try to do a piece of it on camera just to show you. The part that you remove from the vinyl that you remove is going to be the part that gets engraved. Okay, so you have to kind of think three-dimensionally here when you're doing this. If that makes any sense at all, which I hope it does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the inside one right here. And I'm using a broken pair of tweezers here, guys, so bear with me again. My good stuff is actually upstairs. And I'm going to carefully peel the center part out. Okay? So that's out. Now it's hard to, again, it's going to be hard to see here, but there are two parts to the outside layer. And what I want to do is I want to grab the outermost part, the outermost layer, and that is the part that is tedious here due to the fact that I'm working with this camera being in my way. I'm going to do this off camera and I'll show you the result. Okay, so if you could see that, there's only one small outline there of vinyl, all right? So that's what I wanted. So I'm going to do the rest of these off camera as well because, like I said, it's not going to come out right. I'm going to mess it up if I don't, and then we'll go on to the next stage. And there you go. Of course it's going to be a fourth thing, guys. Come on. So there is your stencil, all cut out, all set up, and all ready to engrave. So let's move on. All right, so we're going to do this right here. I got myself an old used up plastic tin, and I got some table salt and regular tap water. Pop the salt in the water. Warm water works best. Doesn't have to be, but it helps, okay? Just kind of stir it around. All right, just kind of mix it up a little bit. I got myself my retired jump pack here, all right, which is more than adequate for what I'm doing. I'm going to take my positive lead and I'm going to hook it up to the aluminum. I'm going to try to get it on a spot where it's not interfering, but on this plate being small, we're going to need to move it around at some point, okay? So, which is fine. Then I'm going to take an old piece of ripped up t-shirt and kind of fold it up a little bit. We get it into the jaws of the negative of my machine. This is where the fun starts. All right. So now what you're going to do is you're going to start holding it here and touch it. You'll actually hear it. I don't know if you will. I can. You'll see it sizzle. It'll start to produce some smoke. And you want to hold it for about, I don't know, 10 seconds at a pop on each area. Kind of move around. That's just to ensure that you don't burn through the vinyl. I haven't had that happen yet. I'm still experimenting with how long that'll take to happen. Notice I have tape protecting the rest of it because I don't want to accidentally start engraving other areas, okay? So I'm just going a little bit at a time here. Just nice and easy. Trying to get my hand out of the way. I don't know how well it's working out. Kind of hard to film this kind of stuff for me. You just kind of keep working it. Every once in a while you're going to get some more salt water on the shirt. And you can see it bubbling, I think. I think the camera's picking that up. Maybe, maybe not, I'm not sure. Get some more, dip it in. Make sure I got a good connection. Yes, I do. And we'll just keep going. We'll just keep working it. Again, notice how the vinyl is covering everything. I'm not, I'm not getting anything on the bare plate that I don't want to touch. Okay, only on the part that is exposed. And you just keep working it a little bit at a time. Like I said, depending on how deep you want to engrave it, just keep working the areas, and it'll go, and it'll be really cool when it's finished. The thing you don't want to do is this, okay? You don't want to move you don't want to start moving the thing around when you're on here. That can result, or will result probably, in moving the vinyl and screwing up the whole design. So refrain from moving this thing. Pat it up and down. Every movement I make is up and flat down on the area I'm going. I could do this, it's fine, but do not start rubbing into this thing. You will not make the results better. You will make them worse. So, kind of figured you guys had already figured that part out, but throw it in there. I just think this is a really neat way to get a really cool result on a piece of plate. Since I've been doing this, I've been playing around with different designs, and surprisingly, they've all come out really well. So, and yeah, I know this isn't a diagnostic video, guys. You gotta have some fun sometimes, though, Not everything could be scope testing and checking for shorts and all that stuff, right? Besides, it's a holiday. I'm off the clock. You see this thing starts to get, you can see it getting aggressive as it heats up, you know what I mean, as you hold more on there. Now, again, if I was using a battery charger and turning the amperage up, this would go faster. The result on aluminum is awesome, too, because when you polish it, it just looks awesome. It just looks beautiful, really beautiful. And you can fill this in with color, if you want to afterwards. And, usually what I do is I polish the plate with a metal polish after I'm done here. I wash it off with regular tap water, polish it, and then I just, if I wanted a color scheme inside this design, instead of having it the aluminum, I can do that as well, and just add the color in, marker, paint, whatever you guys like. Depending again on what exactly you're doing, that's what it's really going to depend on, is what you're doing. But it works. Pretty cool. And I am not touching the cables together, just so you know. I'm just very close. I think we're going to call that good enough for now. Okay. Now, what we'll do now is I will unravel this, tape off, and you'll see the design. And this stuff, when you peel it, depending on the design, you may have to, you know, get in there with a tweezer, whatever, and play with it a little bit to get it out. But usually, not being permanent vinyl, it usually comes off pretty easy. You can see I'm just using my nail here. The parts that are embedded are a little bit, these smaller parts are a little harder, but they'll come out. Grab a tweezer and just peel them like that. Just get them started. And you'll see the contrast, as you can see. So, and once you polish it, it'll bring it out even more. And I didn't go super deep here, but I did go fairly deep, I guess, for a quick electrical engraving. I'll show you what I mean with the accents. I don't know how much the camera will pick this up and the lighting and all that, but let me see if I can show you. We'll just do this quick, okay? I don't know if you can see that too well, but it's the beginning of it coming out. A little bit of work, a little elbow grease, make it shine up real nice. And you obviously can, you could use a little buffing machine, a little whiz tool, whatever you have, with a polishing end on it, a Dremel, whatever. And you'll clean it up like a mirror. Again, I'm using a dirty old rag, so I'm not expecting the highest quality results here, guys. But as you can see, it's a fairly deep engraving. Okay. All right, so we'll see if we can clean that up a little more. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. That's a quick hand polish. No sanding or anything like that. Just quickly going through it, and this is deep enough where, you know, it'll get your nails stuck. So you can see it from the angle. Yeah, and that's all there is to it. All right, so like I said, you could fill this with, you know, paint, whatever you want to do, but it makes for a pretty neat project. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you next time.